Today I'd like to do a video on working with silicone caulking. I have two different brands here. This one is from Home Hardware here in Canada, and it's slightly cheaper than high-grade GE stuff, but they're both silicone 1. Now they both smell like vinegar. The way the silicone 1 cures is using moisture in the air, and that we can use to our advantage. Silicone 2 uses an ammonia type of stuff, and it doesn't really work well for what I'm going to show you. So silicone 1, the stuff that smells like vinegar, that's the one you want. Now that we know what type of silicone to buy, we need to learn how to work with it. It is extremely sticky stuff, so there are ways that you can use it to your advantage and other ways that you can work around that. Here we have a few items that I've made with silicone. Some of it just plain silicone, like these gaskets, different thicknesses. Some of it reinforced. Now this is a thin film reinforced with fiberglass window screen, and it makes a very nice gasket material as well as a non-stick for under carpets, things like that. I also made a tube out of it just to see whether or not it will properly bond to itself and how strong it is in shear, and it's very, very strong. Also, this was just a quick little experiment coloring it. I was able to color it with epoxy dye. This black, obviously. This is I believe it's a polyester fabric that has just been impregnated with silicone. You can see some of it quite thin film here. This is a Shore A durometer gauge. If you look at this, I don't know whether this will show up properly, but no, it's not working properly. It really is about 22 to 24 durometer. So these are really just some of the things that you can do with it. You need to know what type of surface will it stick to and what it won't stick to. It won't stick to typically plastic surfaces like this UHMW or puckboard. It does not like to stick to plastics like this type. This is a polyethylene sheathing. But it will stick to the printing on here, and this print will come off on your product, your final product. So be aware of that. It will stick to itself very much. A lot of people say silicone won't stick to itself. It will stick to itself. And in fact, I deliberately made this so that you could see how well it sticks to itself. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull on this tab, and you'll see that it is sticking to itself so well that it literally pulls the silicone right out of in between there. You see, it's actually ripped the silicone right out of the fiberglass webbing. So it really sticks to itself. You can see right here, it's ripped out. So that's the failure mode in that type of thing. I don't know what the shear strength is as far as pulling this in this direction, like if these two were together and you were to pull them apart straight away. I don't know what the shear strength is. I'm sure MATLAB might have something like that. But I've made gaskets with it. I've made pads with it. I've made molds with it. It's very versatile stuff. It's just learning how to play with it. And so it's going to require some experimenting on your part, but I will show you the easiest way to make things like this. I have here a piece of window screen, fiberglass window screen, and what I'll do is I'll show you how to put the silicone inside. I'm going to use these little squeegees. They come in a 3-pack. Bondo is the brand. They're quite cheap. I think it's like $6 for 3 of them. Then you can pick which size you like. But we need to remove the cap. Obviously, if this is a brand new tube, you'd have to poke the seal inside there to be able to get it out. So now it's just a matter of placing some on top. This is the sticky method of working with it. So I do have gloves on for this. But you'll see that once I mash this down inside, you just work it in and then use the light to your advantage to be able to make sure that you have a full fill of the weave. So we'll add a little more here. It is very strong smelling of vinegar. So if you're not working in a really good ventilated area, I would highly suggest you use a respirator. Saves your nose a little bit. But as you fill this up, you will see that the weave gets totally full. Yeah, that's pretty good. Not bad at all. Okay, now to speed up the cure, you can also add just a little bit of soapy water. And it will cure it up a lot quicker. While that's curing up, we'll just show you another technique. What you can use is 2 pieces of material the same thickness, set it side by side, and put a little bit of silicone in between. This is to make a gasket without any backing like that is. So it's a matter of just holding these down. As you can see, these little squeegees, it's just a matter of working it out. You can make it as long as you want. Now what you end up with is a piece that is as thick as these 2 rulers are, and it's just nothing but silicone. So the next technique is a technique where you will inject the silicone into soapy water. Now this is just plain tap water with a detergent added to it. It doesn't matter what kind of liquid detergent you would use, just add enough that it's about double the amount that you would normally use for doing dishes. Try not to get any bubbles in there. The bubbles could get introduced into your silicone, but I'll show you what you're doing. Just take the silicone, put it under water, and squeeze it out. There we go. You can do this with or without gloves. I'll show you with gloves and then without gloves. What you want to do is just let it sit for just a few seconds, maybe half a minute. Reach in and very gently take it and mash it, start mashing it together. What you'll find is it sticks to itself underwater, but it usually doesn't stick to your gloves or your fingers, which is quite amazing. I think it's soap that helps you in that respect. So you're just trying to mash it together very gently. What you're doing while you're mashing it together and squeezing it, you're actually introducing lots and lots of moisture into the silicone. So it will cure in a totally sealed environment. You can put this inside of a bag, inside of a mold, whatever you like, and it will set up. Look at that, nothing. Doesn't stick. I can actually even pull it out of the water and knead it. It still doesn't stick to my hands. That's what'll happen also when you're, if you have soapy water on your application tools, like this one. You noticed here how it stuck, really, because it's straight out of the tube. But on here, if I go like that, it doesn't even stick to it. So another thing too is if you want this to really cure quickly off of here, what you can do is just, excuse me, put it under water and take it off of there. And yeah, it'll actually clean your tools up quite well too. And set that aside. We'll just add this little bit to it because you can do that. And then what you end up having is a nice big ball of silicone. And now you can press that into a mold. You can use it for whatever you like. You have to keep in mind that anything you want to bond together, for instance, like this tubing. I made this tubing by taking some of this type of silicone that's been kneaded underwater. I'll show you on something like this. Keep this dry. And then you take a little bit of silicone off of this ball and you try and remove as much of the moisture off of it as you possibly can. So when I rub it across a dry surface, it will absolutely stick to it. Even though it's not sticking to my finger, it is sticking to this surface here. And it is really gummy on that surface. So once you've applied it to this surface, then what you can do is, as long as your other part here is dry, which it isn't, unfortunately, when you roll this onto there, you can press that in and it will bond just exactly the same way that this did. So well, in fact, that when you try to take it apart, it literally rips out. So it goes to show you, you could make a tube if you wanted to, maybe an emergency repair on a hose, on a water hose or something like that. I don't know exactly, like I said, I don't know the shear strength of it, but it's definitely worth experimenting with. So you can, like I said, you can still use this. This now will actually harden up in about 1 hour. It will be hard to the touch. So it does speeds it up really, really quickly. But you could take that ball like that, put it in a mold, press in whatever you want to replicate. Just make sure, you see my fingers drying out a little bit so it sticks. So it goes to show you, you need to keep your hands wet. It's been about an hour and a half since we did these little tests on here, so that I didn't waste this thing. I just wanted to do another experiment. I went out in the shed and grabbed a piece of aluminum tube and just took that ball and mashed it all the way around, did it all underwater, and just did an overlap. And yeah, look at that. It doesn't even stick to the tube, which is awesome. It's nice and smooth on the inside, as smooth as this tube was. Now, it's not very good on the outside because I just did it as a test, but it bonds to itself nicely. It's nice and, yeah, so it's cured. Took only about an hour and a half. Let's see about this one here. Let's see how well it comes off. Okay, so even at an hour and a half, this one, because it wasn't mashed underwater, it wasn't kneaded underwater, it isn't totally cured yet. The outside edges are cured, so I'll let it cure up a little bit more. It's still stuck. Comes off really super easy once it's totally cured, but it hasn't gotten all the way to the bottom, you can see right there. So it just needed to be left a little bit longer. Let's see about this one here. I added some water to them just to see. This one might be doing about the same. Let's see. We shall see. Yeah, this is the same. So not being processed kind of underwater, it's definitely going to take some longer, maybe 2-3 hours. But once you've done it underwater, it's quite a bit quicker. Now this was done underwater. Let's see, I just wrapped it around a piece of plastic tube. Ooh, that does not want to come out of there. Let's see if we can add a little bit of moisture under there just to give it a little, make it a little more slippery. Oh, look at that. Yeah, there it is. So that's a tube, you know, made out of just wrapping it around a piece of PVC pipe. Yep, it's bonded. Yep. Anyways, I just hope this gives you some ideas on how to play with this stuff. And thanks for watching.